Hello teachers, learners, and parents. Sir Jeff po, at your service. Alam nyo ba na meron tayong website na tinatawag na DepEd Commons? Ang DepEd Commons ay binuo upang gawing accessible ang pagtuturo at pag-aaral dito sa ating bansa gamit lamang ang inyong mga smart devices gaya ng cellphones, tablets, at computers. Dito ay maaari nating ma-access ang iba't ibang learning materials mula sa Department of Education. Meron itong mga interactive materials, electronic self-learning modules, at instructional video lessons mula sa DepEd TV na tiyak na makatutulong sa pag-aaral ng mga mag-aaral galing ka man sa public o private school. Walang problema dahil welcome ang lahat dito. Para ito sa mga guro, magulang at mga mag-aaral mula sa kinder hanggang grade 12, alternative learning system o ALS, at pati na rin ang special education. At huwag kang mag-alala dahil kahit walang load ay maaari mong ma-access ang mga learning materials. Tama! Libre ito. Ang kailangan mo lamang gawin ay i-on ang iyong data at buksan lamang ang iyong browser at i-type ang commons.deped.gov.ph. Alam na ba ng iyong mga kasamahang guro o mag-aral ang tungkol sa DepEd Commons? I-share mo na ang video na ito upang matuto rin sila kung paano gagamitin ang DepEd Commons sa mabilis at napakadaling paraan. Muli, ito po si Sir Jeff at kita-kits po tayo sa DepEd Commons. Paalam!
Magandang araw, Sir Wilbur po, at your service. Narito ang ETUlay upang gabayan ka sa inyong pag-aaral upang lubos na maunawaan ang iba't ibang paksa o subject. Ang ETUlay ay isang free online tutorial class na pinangungunahan ng ICT's Educational Technology Unit sa pamumuno ni Undersecretary Elaine Del P. Pascua. Ang programang ito ay hindi lamang para sa mga bata, kundi ito rin ay magsisilbing gabay sa mga magulang at mga guro kung paano nila ituturo o gagabayan sa bawat asignatura ang kanilang mga anak o mga estudyante. Sa kasalukuyan, ang self-learning module mula sa rehiyon ng Calabarzon at kilala sa tawag na pivot ang ginagamit sa ating ETUlay online class. Kaya ano pang hinihintay ninyo? Ihanda na ang inyong mga ballpen o lapis, papel o kwaderno at samahan kaming itulay ang pagkatuto para sa bawat batang Pilipino. Sama-sama tayong magtutulungan para malampasan ang mga hamon sa panahong ito. Halina't matuto kasama ang inyong online tutor sa oras na ito.
Alright, ayan, isang makakalikasan at makabansang afternoon or hapon sa inyong lahat. So mga ka-ELS, kamusta po kayong lahat dyan? So I hope you're all doing great. Ayan, so medyo pagbigyan nyo na si Sir Tony ngayong week na to. So gusto ko lang i-invite, gusto lang mas maramdaman pa ang pagdiriwang natin ng Philippine Independence Day. Ayan, so good vibes lang tayo. Ayan, kaya I'm proudly wearing our national dress or costume, the Barong Tagalog. Ayan, so i-relate natin mamaya sa ating discussion. Alright, so tingnan natin ang slides. Ayan, Environment of the Philippines. So kinumbay natin ang isa sa or dalawa sa core values ng DepEd, di ba? So we have makadiyos, makatao, makakalikasan ang highlight natin, makakalikasan at makabansa. Ay, bakit makakalikasan? Kasi we are actually celebrating this June, di ba? Na-mention ko na ito sa inyo last time. So, every month of June in the Philippines, we are celebrating the Philippine Environment Month. At ang tema natin ngayong 2021 is sama-samang pagkilos, sama-samang paghilom, ikaw at ako, tayo ang kalikasan. So, para naman sa Philippine Independence Day na sinelebrate natin last Saturday. So, we actually celebrated the 123rd Philippine Independence Day na may temang diwa ng kalayaan sa pagkakaisa at paghilom ng bayan. So, ang commonality sa dalawang celebrate natin, no? So, paghilom, so healing. So, let's continue working, disciplining ourselves. So, naway maghari ang pagkakaisa sa ating mga Pilipino. Let's continue praying for the healing of the Philippines and the rest of the the world. Alright? So welcome po sa ating Senior High School Earth and Life Science. We are now on quarter 4, week number 5. So konting tumbling na lang, mairaraos na natin ang school year 2020-2021. For this particular session, we are going to discuss more about the different organ systems, hindi lang sa tao, kundi sa mga representative animals natin later on. Yan, so muli, ako po si Sir Tony or si Tutor Tony. Samahan niyo ako sa sunod na 40 minutes na umatikabong discussion sa pag-appreciate natin sa ganda ng ating planeta at sa pagkakaroon ng maganda, uniqueness at saka diversified living organism. Siyempre, kasama yung mga tao. Alright? Ayan, so tulad ng mga previous sessions natin, we are actually utilizing the module provided by Region 4A Calabarzon, or the pivot module. So particularly for this session, we'll be using modules number 26 and module number 27. The same title lang yan. So parang part 1 lang yan tsaka part 2. The title is Organ Systems of Representative Animals. Ayan. So kamusta kayo dyan? Maulan ba sa inyo or mainit ba? So we're experiencing different weather, di ba? From time to time. Kasi nga, we are actually in the transition of the tag-init. Papunta na tayo sa tag-ulan. So I hope everyone's safe and everyone's ready for our discussion. Kung ikaw man ay team live, you're live streaming by Facebook or by YouTube right now, or team replay ka man, walang problema dyan. You can still interact with me. So ready na yung papel, ball pen, your modules if you have the copy with you, or mga worksheets na binigay ng mga teachers ninyo. Of course, ready na ang puso at isipan. Alright? And of course, very important, samahan nyo ako sa ating discussion by interacting with Tutor Tony. So sa ating comment section, huwag mahiyang mag-send ng mga munting pabati. Ayan, shout out tayo dyan. Just make sure to indicate the name of your school at saka location para ma-acknowledge natin properly. Alright? Sige, let's begin. Okay, so let's have a quick review lang. So last week, on our week number 4, we discussed about genetic engineering. And we have learned that genetic engineering is the artificial manipulation, modification, and recombination of DNA. So it's being manipulated, specifically the DNA, the ones containing the genotype, na magiging phenotype eventually ng isang organism, para ma-modify ang isang organism or a population of organisms. And that session, of course, we described or we took a look at the different genetic engineering techniques. So under artificial selection, I hope you can still remember, we have selective breeding, hybridization, and inbreeding. So magbigay tayo ng mga examples, iba mga mapahayop man yan, or mga genetic engineering techniques na minamanipulate yung genes naman ng mga halaman. And other, of course, microorganisms. We also discuss other advanced techniques like cloning. We have gene splicing, di ba? We also have gel electrophoresis, and we also have recombinant DNA technology. So those are the genetic engineering techniques that we have discussed last week. And of course, ang hinighlight din natin, isa sa mga hinighlight natin during the session is yung mga benefits ng genetic engineering sa environment, sa agriculture, sa paggawa ng mga medicine, sa mga advanced researches, and many others. Alright? Sige, tignan natin. So we are now ready to have our objectives for this session. We are now again on week number 5 sa mga katutok pa lang sa ating Senior High School Earth and Life Science. So our first objective is we have to describe the general and unique characteristics of the different organ systems in representative animals. So, maha-highlight syempre yung sa ating mga tao. Pero, we'll be taking a look din sa mga organ systems. Ano kayong mga itsura ng respiratory system, nervous system ng mga lower forms of animals. And the second one, we have to analyze and appreciate the functional relationships of the different organ systems in ensuring animal survival. So, paano nga ba nagtatandem or nag-work together itong mga systems na ito para maging effective at efficient yung pagtakbo or pag-survive syempre ng ating mga living organisms including us humans. So we are now ready to discuss. So once again, I encourage everyone to please interact with me. Huwag mahiyang mag-leave ng comments. If you have questions in mind, you have greetings in mind. So lagay lang natin sa comment section. Alright, so we are now ready to discuss the different organ systems. So medyo madami-dami to. Let's make it, i-highlight lang natin yung mga functions. highlight na natin yung mga main organs, so titingnan natin yung mga organ systems ng ibang animals. Alright? So game. Let's start with the first one. Ayan, before the first one pala. So we have here a bio question. What happens when an organism become more complex? So habang naging mas complex ang isang living organisms, syempre mas maraming cells yan. So how do organisms made up of billions or even trillions of cells, just like us, get the raw materials needed for each and every cell? So ang sagot, syempre, kailangan natin ng different body systems or organ systems. So the same lang yun, body systems or organ systems. So these are the large complex organisms, just like us, need many levels of organization. Remember, that is one of the main, one of the unifying themes of biology, yung commonality ng mga living organisms. We have a complex, a large organizational structure to ensure all cells get what they need to perform para maging effective nga at efficient ang pag-perform na ng kanilang mga specific functions. So I know you're familiar with the major organs or the common organs that you know. So we have the brain, the lungs, the intestines, the kidneys, and the liver, and many others. So i-refresh natin ang inyong minds. Siguro iba na limutan nyo na yung mga different classifications nila. So time for us to refresh our brain cells. All right. Okay, so ang sabi, our body daw is like a well-organized machine capable of performing different tasks. Of course, nag-multitask itong katawan natin. Okay, 24/7. Ayan, 24/7 gumagana yung mga organs natin, especially the primary organs like the brain and the heart. So the ability of the body to do all the things that it can do is due to the, listen to this, special internal and external structures. So internal pertains to the inside, yung mga laman loob, yes, laman loob. Mga internal organs natin, yung the organs found inside our body. And of course, we have also the structures or the organs found externally, mga nasa labas ng katawan natin. So they work together in an orderly manner. So it's time for us now to revisit yung concept na to, that the body system is a group of organs that work together to serve a common purpose. So remember, class, each individual body system works in conjunction. Kumbaga, by tandem yan. Kumbaga, may body-body system yan. Ginawa yan ni God in such a way that they will interact with each other to perform their best. Okay? Conjunction with other body system to function well and to maintain homeostasis or the internal balance. Let's recall, no? Cells of the same type will form tissues, and then those tissues performing the same function or the similar types will make an organ, just like this heart, of course, is the main organ of our circulatory system. And together with all the other organs like the circulatory system, we have the blood vessels like arteries, veins, and capillaries. They form an organ system. And together with the other organ system, they'll form a entire organism. So that's an example for an animal cell. How about for a plant cell? Plant cell, ayan, same thing, of course. We have tissues, ayan, organ, the leaf is an organ system, kasama iba pang organs related, of course, sa leaf, and it will form an entire plant or entire organism. So that's the beauty of our body. So kung dinevise yan, it is engineered and architected by God in such a way na magpa-perform siya in its best. Alright? So we are now ready. Yeah. So first body system natin is, of course, the one that is providing our framework, the skeletal system. So as I mentioned, it provides support, protection of internal organs, production of blood cells, and attachment sites for the organs. So medyo marami-rami siyang function, but primarily it gives us the build, the support. Some major bones in the body, like the skull, protects main organs like the brain. Ayan. So the rib cage protects the lungs. Diba? The pelvis protects the reproductive organs, especially for the females, diba? If they are conceiving or sila ay pregnant. Okay? So we have actually different types of bones. So the axial skeleton at saka yung appendicular skeleton, if you would remember. Ayan. So I also included, ayan, let's take a look lang. We have here the skeleton of the fish. I hope you can see it. Ayan, very complicated din. Very nice ang design. So, if you would you believe that the fins, ayan, yung mga fins pala, ay part din ng skeleton ng mga fish. So, fish is a vertebrate animal. So, meron siyang backbone. Let's take a look at the other examples. Would you remember kung ilan yung bones ng katawan natin? If you would remember, kung nung pinanganak tayo, we have around 350 bones. And as we go old, nag-fuse yung mga bones natin hanggang sa ma-reach na yung maximum na number, which is 206. So remember how we have 206 bones. Ayan. So i-highlight lang natin yung mga skeletal system ng mga animals like this one, another vertebrate animal. We have here a tortoise. Ayan. So as you can see, ayan, sa mga pinaka na-amaze ako na animal, even they are very slow, di ba? Ang ganda na structure ng tortoise. Ayan, yung kanyang backbone is connected to its home or the shell or the shell. Yes, the shell. Let's take a look now at one of the largest birds in the world. We have the ostrich. Ayan ang bone structure ng ostrich. At nung pinag-aralan namin nung high school, ayan, sino ba nakaka-relate dyan? High school tsaka nung college. Ayan, ang skeletal system ng frogs, so which is one of the most common specimen na pinag-aaralan, yung skeletal system. And all the other systems, di ba, kinabisado namin yung mga parts na yan. Ayan. Kasi nga, related siya sa ating mga tao. Similar sa mga tao in such a way that it is also a vertebrate animal. Okay? Next, sa mga ayop na kinatatakutan ni Tutor Tony, we have the snake. Zoom lang natin ng kaunti para makita nyo kung gaano siya ka-intricate. Would you imagine na ganyan pala ang bone structure ng snakes? Ayan, na-preserve nila. Ang galing. And of course, snakes are known for a very adjustable jaw kasi they can eat their prey whole, di ba? Ayan, so that's the skeletal system of the snake. Balik natin. Alright, I hope you're having fun. So, first pa lang yan, we have the skeletal system. As I have mentioned, no? So, these systems work together. Ayan. Exoskeleton. Yung mga kaninang pinakita ko, those are some examples of endoskeleton. Pag sinabi natin endoskeleton, endo in biology or in science, endo means inside, okay? So yung bone side or the internal structure of the living organism. So may mga living organisms naman na ang pinaka-skeleton nila ay nasa labas. So that's what we call the exoskeleton or the external covering of some invertebrate animals. So they don't have backbone, especially the arthropods. Best examples, of course, are the insects, arachnids, and mga crustaceans. Ayun yung mga kapag pinisat mo sila, marinig mo yung crunch, or minsan every time we eat, di ba, shrimp, we remove the exoskeleton, yung inaalis natin, the shell, that is their exoskeleton, and we are eating their muscle or their body. Okay? It's actually made up of special kind of carbohydrates called chitin, C-H-I-T-I-N. For mollusk naman, or soft-bodied animals, zoom natin, ayan, so we have the snail, ayan, and ayan, masarap yan. We have the scallop. Sarap-sarap niyan. So they are covered naman with shells made up of calcium carbonate. Okay, so we have chitin for arthropods and calcium carbonates for the mollusk or the soft-bodied animals. Let's proceed now sa isa sa mga katandem ng skeletal system, which is the muscular system. So the muscular system, of course, provides movement. So together with the skeletal system, it provides movement, it maintains posture, and produces heat. So, ayan, ano nangyari sa ating example dito? So, if we have 206 bones, ilang muscles naman tayo? Would you recall kung ilang muscles tayo? So, according to the study of scientists, we have around 600 to 650 muscles, ayan, performing a variety of functions. And ayan, ang in-highlight ko naman dito, i-highlight natin sa example natin is the muscular system of cat. Mga muning, mga pusa, sa isa sa mga nakaka-believe din, nakaka-amaze na mga animal kasi their body is very flexible. And that's because of their internal structure, their bones and their muscles, because they have very flexible body, thanks to their bones and their muscles. And if you would recall, class, we have different types of muscles. We have 3. So first is, of course, those is found in our heart. It's called the cardiac muscle. Tapos yung mga naka-attach naman sa mga bones, those are called the skeletal muscles. And those who are found in the internal organs, like the stomach, is called the smooth muscle. And yung mga enlarged or magnified version na isa sa mga cells ng bawat types na ng muscles. Alright? So those are something about another information about the muscular system. So the muscle is made up of muscle fibers, and furtherly, is made up of a bundle, para siyang bundle ng muscle fibers. Diba? Every time we eat chicken, di ba minsan, inihimay pa natin, ayun, those are actually the muscle fibers that we are eating from the muscle of the chicken. Okay? Pero sa, generally, the structure is like this. So it's made up of a fascicle or a bundle of muscle fibers. And each muscle fiber is made up of one muscle fiber or cell called the myofibrin. If you see, or if you can see here in the illustration, we have here the term tendon. Ang tendon ang nagko-connect sa mga ano natin, sa muscle at saka sa mga skeleton natin, sa bones. Okay? Those are the things that you have to remember about the muscular system. Next, we have the digestive system. Ayan, favorite natin. Hashtag, food is life. And of course, para ma-process natin, ma-maximize natin yung gamit or yung use ng food na yan, we have, it has to be processed by our digestive system. So the digestive system breaks down food and absorbs nutrients in ang pinaka-function niya that are important for our growth and maintenance of our bodily processes. If you would recall, sige, zoom din natin, ano ba yung mga parts ng digestive system? Of course, digestion begins in our mouth, mechanical digestion. So we have the mouth, ipupush yan ng ating tongue pababa sa ating esophagus, all the way down sa ating stomach. Ayan yung pinaka-main pathway ng food natin, if you would remember. So the food will be partially digested sa ating stomach together with the gastric juices. Yan. And then eventually, the main digestion will happen in the small intestines. Diyan nangyayari ang final digestion and absorption of nutrients. Yung undigested food naman will travel sa ating large intestine. Sa large intestine, i-absorb, i-recycle, of course, very important, water. Ayan, kaya nga, kailangan ng stool natin or yung feces or yung poops natin, ang pinaka-consistency niya, pasensya na po sa mga kumakain, kailangan hindi siya sobrang hard or di naman siya sobrang loose or soft. Kailangan sakto lang. So that's the function of our large intestine. Nagiging hard lang yan kasi nga, ang function ng large intestine is to absorb the water. So the more na ini-stock mo yan everyday, kaya nga dapat every morning nagda-download po tayo mga senior high school. Kailangan matrain na ninyo yung mga katawan. Sinasabi ko yun dati sa mga elementary students ko, no? So as early as, at an early age, kailangan matrain na yung katawan na everyday dapat naglalabas ng dumi or ng waste ng katawan in the form of feces. Okay? And of course, our digestive system also has accessory organs that also aids in the digestion like the liver, the gallbladder, and many others. Alright? Ayan. So that is our digestive system. Tingnan naman natin ang isa sa mga isa sa mga animals na dumadami kapag medyo mainit ang panahon. Kasi kabila ang mga news about jellyfish. Diba? Mga jellyfish sting, nakakalungkot, may mga namamatay pa nga. Diba? So actually, yung pinakita natin kanina sa mga higher forms of animals like us, we have the complete digestive system. So mouth, pasok ang food sa mouth, and then lalabas, after processing it sa anus. But there are organisms, just like the jellyfish, they have what we call the incomplete digestive system. So they have a cavity called the gastrovascular cavity that serves as their digestive system. So as you can see in the diagram, zoom natin, ayan isa lang. So papasok dyan yung food and they have their food intake in the mouth, yan sa opening na yan. At the same time, yung waste dyan din lalabas. Okay? So that's how other or lower forms of organisms like the jellyfish, mga invertebrates, yung ganyan yung pinaka-digestive system nila. As you can see pala did you know that yung mga nidarians or the jellyfish, they have this stage, they have the polyp stage, para silang halaman, steady lang sila, stable lang sila sa some place, and then eventually, magde-detach yung pinaka-jellyfish kanila. May mga tentacles na. Alright, that's another trivia about the jellyfish. So, ingat-ingat tayo sa mga jellyfish, especially yung mga venomous. Another highlight natin yung digestive system ng mga cattle tulad ng baka na ito. Ayan, enjoy sa pagkain ng grass. So cattle along with other animals like sheep, goats, and deer are called ruminants. Pag sinabi nating ruminants, they have somehow complicated na digestive system kasi their digestive system is made up of 4 compartmental stomach system. Tapos, tsaka may karugtong siya na intestine. Okay? So namely, ang pinaka-4 na compartment niya, so starts with, ayan, intake, sa rumen, pupunta sa number 2, reticulum, number 3 sa omasum, and then finally sa number 4, abomasum, yun yung pinaka-stomach nila. Tapos konektado na yan sa intestines for final processing ng food, intake ng nutrients. So that's how complicated the digestive system of the ruminants. Ayan. So kaya nga, 'di ba, very they have time to to chew. Mga goat, 'di ba? The sheep, inumayang mabuti kasi nga the plant cells it contains, if you would remember, it contains cellulose. Yung pinaka-cell wall ay gawa sa cellulose at mahirap i-digest. So kailangan ma-process siya into the 4 compartments bago ipapuntahin sa intestine. So that's how ruminants like this cattle process the food that they eat. Alright? So 4 So hindi lang isa, 4 ang kanilang pinaka-digestive system or stomach. Alright. So related din, yan, of course. So after ma-process yung food, yung glucose, di ba, yung energy source, kailangan niya ma-transport. Hindi lang naman mag-stay yan sa intestine natin, di ba? Kailangan siyang ma-transfer sa iba't ibang parts ng katawan. Yan ang trabaho, isa sa mga trabaho ng next body system natin, which is the circulatory system. So as you can see, the main function of the circulatory system is the transport of nutrients, the gases, hormones, and waste. So remember, may waste din yan through the body. So yung waste naman, ini-excrete naman yan. And of course, if you're going to take a look at this diagram, zoom lang natin, compare lang natin yung circulatory system ng mga vertebrates. As you can see, fish here, their heart is made up of 2 chambers only. For amphibians, like frogs, they have 3 chambers. For mammals and birds, we have 4 chambers, yung ventricles. Oops, sorry. Ayan. All right. And we also have what we call the open and the closed circulatory system. So may ganun pala, may open at saka may closed circulatory system. So what is the difference between the two? So ang representative animal natin for open circulatory system are the insects, but particularly the grasshopper here. So in an open circulatory system, the blood is not enclosed in the blood vessels, but is pumped into a cavity called the hemocoel. So as you can see, zoom natin. Meron silang opening sa hearts, may tubular yung pinaka-structure ng heart nila, and ito yung pinaka-unique sa kanila, the blood flows around body cells. So hindi na siya nagde-diffuse. After sa ating mga tao kasi, di ba, we have capillaries and other cells that is responsible for the exchange of gases. Ayan. So for other animals like this earthworm and higher forms of animals, we have what we call the closed circulatory system. Bakit closed? Kasi ang dugo or blood, ayan, the heart pumps blood through the vessels that are separate from the interstitial fluid of the body. Yung interstitial fluid is yung fluid kung saan intermediate siya, sa gitna siya ng, it's between the blood vessels at saka yung saan magde-diffuse yung mga important gases, of course, the oxygen at saka yung carbon dioxide na kailangan ilabas, alright, or excrete ng katawan. So that is what we call the closed circulatory system. Okay? Again, open directly, punta na kagad sa body cells. Unlike sa atin, sa closed circulatory system, naka-confine siya sa mga blood vessels. And interestingly, sa diagram natin, as you can see, 5 pala ang puso ng earthworm. Yan. Alright, the next, related din of course, so, di ba, para siyang chain. Yan. Respiratory system naman provides gas exchange. Of course, digestive, circulatory, and respiratory system, they need each other. So specifically for respiratory system, it provides gas exchange, oxygen, carbon dioxide, between the blood and the environment. So for us mammals and other organisms, we have respiratory system that work together with the circulatory system, as I have mentioned. So dito nangyayari yung pag-transport at saka pag-exchange ng gases in the process called diffusion or diffusion. Ngayon naman, tingnan natin kung ano yung itsura or paano nag-exchange ng important gases sa mga animals. Let's begin with this one. Are you familiar with this? Some animals like this axolotl, we have external gills. Ayan. Di ba yung gills commonly sa mga fish yan? Inside, nasa loob yun. Yung pinakahasang nila. This time, nasa labas. Okay? Some arthropods naman contain internal gills. The same with the fish. Ang tawag dyan ay the internal gills nga. For animals like this praying mantis, they have what we call the tracheal system. Mamaya, discuss natin yan. May mga Zoom portion tayo dyan for that. And of course, for mammals, we have developed or we have evolved to have the lungs. Okay? So, escape natin para mapakita ko yung picture ng axolotl. Ayan. So, we have here, ayan. Kita nyo ba? Ang cute. Ano ba nasa ano yan eh? Nasa South America makikita. Yung mga amphibians na yan. Okay? Let's proceed. Ayan. So as I've mentioned kanina, we have the insect tracheal system. Specifically, ayan. So we have here another diagram. Ang pinaka-highlight naman is the grasshopper. Time check lang tayo. Ayan. The tracheal system opens externally through the side of the insect through a structure called a spiracle or the spiracle. Ayan. So spiracle is where the air enters and exits through the body of the insect. So papasok yung gas for the particular insect. Tapos, it will be processed or it will travel sa mga smaller tubes called the tracheoles, which have extensions that are directly connected to the cells. So doon nangyayari yung pinaka-important diffusion of gases or gas exchange sa mga insects. Okay? And if you're familiar, ayan, yung kaaway ng mga plantito tsaka plantita, minsan, ayan, may mga caterpillars. Pag zoom natin ang katawan nila, you can find the openings. Yun nga, yung minention ni Sir kanina, we have the spiracles or the spiracles. So I hope you're having fun. Ang dami tayo natututunan sa mga different body systems natin and the representative animals. Let's proceed with the next. We have the excretory system. From the word excrete, excrete is to remove. So ang pinaka-function niyan is to filter out cellular waste, toxins, and excess water or nutrients. Class, please, para hindi kayo ma-confuse, no? Kasi minsan sa reference, mababasa nyo, urinary system, from the word urine. So pag sinabi natin urinary system, ang highlight lang noon or pinaka-organs noon is of course this one. We have the kidneys, left and right kidneys, the ureters, the bladder, and the urethra. So nilalabasan ng urine. So that is our urinary system. Pag sinabi natin excretory system, so it includes the urinary system and yung other organs na nilalabasan ng waste. Say for example, the skin. The skin is part of the excretory system because nilalabas siya ng sweat or ng pawis. Yung pawis na yan ay may kasama yung dumi. So aside from water, it contains body waste. Okay, and not nitrogenous waste that needs to be excreted para hindi ma-poison yung katawan natin. Okay? That is your excretory system. And isa sa mga paano mo masasabi ito? Napaka-amazing din na organ, no? Paano nga ba nafi-filter ng kidney? So sabi sa readings ko, no, based on my research, every minute nafi-filter ang ating kidneys na around 1 liter of blood per minute. And if we're going to zoom or take a look closer at the inside structure of the kidney, makikita natin ang mga tinatawag nating structures called the nephrons. So sila yung pinaka gumagawa ng trabaho. They're the ones filtering the blood. So sila yung nagsasala ng mga dumi na kailangan i-excrete ng katawan natin. And would you believe that there are about 1.3 million nephrons in each of the kidney, and their function, of course, is to filter our blood. So again, that's nephron. Nepron. Nephron, or nephrons in plural. So that is your excretory system. Next lang natin. Oops, wait lang. Tayo na mag-next. Skip. Oops. Wait lang po tayo. We're having technical difficulty here. Let's view that. Ayan. Kaya na mag-next. Next. Ayan. Ba't siya nag-red? Ayan, excretory system of some animals. Mabilis lang. Tingnan natin paano naman nag-filter ng dumi ang mga ibang animals or the lower forms of animals, particularly the flatworms. They have structures called protonephridia. In other structures naman, or in other animals, we have, for insects, we have Malphidian tubules, named after Italian scientist Marcel Figi. And of course, we have the metanephridia of segmented worms. Ayun kanina, the earthworm. Kaibigan nating mga plantitos and plantitas. Next. Pa tayo mag-next? Ano nangyari? May napindot ata. Alright, next system is, we have the endocrine system. So endocrine, endo means inside, kasi may exocrine eh. Pag sinabi natin endocrine, these are the glands that produces or secretions, pwedeng hormone yan or bodily secretions, na nasa loob lang ng katawan. Endocrine. So ang secretions sila nasa loob. Pag sinabi naman natin or nabasa ninyo sa mga reference, exocrine, so external, sa labas. So exocrine means yung secretions nila ay makikita natin lumalabas sa katawan natin like the tear glands. So these are the exocrine glands kasi yung luha nakikita natin. Pawis, sweat glands or exocrine glands. But our discussion will focus on the endocrine system. Ang pinaka-function nila is they relay chemical messages through the body that help control physiological processes. So we have the pituitary gland. Ayan. So we natin next slide. Ayaw niya na. Ayan. It's a collection of glands that produces, ayan, hormones. Hormones yung pinaka-keyword natin sa endocrine system because these hormones regulate metabolism, growth and development, tissue function, sexual function, reproduction, sleep. Ayan, baka may hormonal imbalance, di ba minsan tayo. And mood swings, mood, among other things. Ayaw niya mag-next. Right. And these are some of the endocrine glands that our body has and the particular organs, target organs sila. And of course, their function. So pituitary gland contains the follicle-stimulating hormones and luteinizing hormones. The target organ niya ay ovary, responsible for the menstrual cycle. Of course, we should not forget the pineal glands, ang maliit na gland na nasa brain din. It secretes melatonin and it controls our biological clock. So in this table, you can find the different glands. So because we are lacking or running out of time na, no? So ayan, screenshot nyo na lang. And these are actually, ito yung pinili kong table kasi it shows the different organs or the glands, mga common talaga. Kasi we have a lot of glands na very complicated na yung mga names. Okay, so thyroid gland for the liver, metabolic rate, adrenal glands, the fight or flight reaction ng katawan natin. The pancreas, of course, relate ako dyan, for our liver, which regulates the blood sugar levels. And of course, the ovaries and the testes, which regulates the female and the male reproductive system. Okay. The next one is, of course, our brain, the nervous system. It relays signals through the body that direct behavior and movement and controls physiological processes. Next. Ayan, the central nervous system, composed of the brain and the brainstem, of course, if you would recall, is responsible for the data and information processing which is gathered by, ang kapartner yan, of course, is the peripheral nervous system, which is comprised mainly by the nerves or the neurons. So upon processing, the central nervous system transmit the message again to the peripheral nervous system, which then convey kung ano yung pinaka-response or pinaka-gagawin natin. Okay? Kailangan pa siya i-right-click. Ayan. So let's take a look at the different nervous systems naman ng some representative animals, like this hydra, if you would remember, Anidaria, it has nerve nets. Ang nervous system nila. For flatworms, they have what we call nerve cords and associative neurons. For earthworms, ayan, meron silang central at saka peripheral nerves. For squid, ayan, so mas highly developed animals na. They have brain na kasi, They have a brain and a structure called a giant axon. So similar sa mga nerves. Lower form of animals that has brain as well is this grasshopper. And the brain is connected with some ventral nerve cords. At ang ating sea star, si Patrick, walang brain, pero may radial nerve at saka may nerve roots. Ayan. So depende yan sa kung gaano ka-complex ang isang living organism. Okay? Kung mag-develop ba siya ng brain or okay na yung mga nerves or pinaka-neurons niya para mag-function yung pinaka-nervous system niya. Okay? Ayun, nagne-next na siya. Alright. Let's proceed to the next, another important body system, especially ngayon, di ba? We have to strengthen our immune system because the immune system is the one or the complex network of specific immune cells and proteins that work in synergy to protect the body against foreign invaders. Siyempre, nandiyan yung mga viruses, bacteria, or commonly they are known as the germs, and other harmful toxic materials coming from the environment. So that is our shield, our main protection of the body. And if you would you know that we have the 3 lines of defense? So first line, second line, at saka third line. Ayan. So the first line of defense is actually a physical and chemical barrier. So the skin, actually our skin, yung pinakabalat natin, it serves as the first line of defense. Sila yung pinakaunang sumasangga along with the mucous membrane sa bibig natin at saka sa nose. And other secretions of the skin and mucous membranes, diba minsan naluluha tayo. That's a means of our body para alisin yung mga dumi na pwedeng pumasok sa mata natin. So the first line of defense is generally a physical and chemical barrier. For the second line of defense, so generally these are the immune cells and proteins naman. So kasama na dyan yung phagocytic cells, yung mga cells na kumakain ng mga, nag-engulf ng mga unwanted substances, yun nga, mga virus, bacteria. It also includes natural killer cells, antimicrobial proteins, and the inflammatory response. Sa madaling salita, ito yung di ba minsan nilalagnat tayo, sinusinat. So ibig sabihin nun, that's a way of our body to tell us na may something or merong infection na nangyayari sa katawan natin. And we also have, finally, the third line of defense, so adaptive to, so specific, so it's against pathogens that have been encountered previously, di ba? So it includes the white blood cells, specifically the lymphocytes, antibodies, ayan, di ba, antibodies, narinig niyo yan sa mga news, di ba, about the COVID-19 testing, macrophages, and other antigen-presenting cells. If you want to learn more about the 3 lines of defense ng katawan natin, you can visit this website, ito yung link, sa news-medical.net, or type nyo lang 3 lines of defense. It's a very good article that discusses how this 3 line of defenses work. Okay? Yeah, so speaking of that, ayan, so commercial lang na tayo mabilis. So the Department of Education is isa sa mga kinakampaign or ina-advocate natin is the back to school. Ligtas na bakuna para sa balik eskwela, protektahan ng ating pamilya, paaralan na pamayanan, alamin ang tamang impormasyon, magpabakuna na. Ayan, so bisitahin lamang ang deped.gov.ph/back-to-school at makipag-ugnayan, of course, sa inyong mga local government units. Para at least lahat tayo, continuously, slowly but surely, makamit na natin yung tinatawag na herd immunity. Okay? And second to the last, reproductive system, as we all know, produces sex cells and the sex hormones needed for reproduction. Yeah. So for the males, we have the testes or the testes as the main reproductive organs because it is the ones producing the sperm cell. For the females, we have the ovary naman that produces the egg cells. And I also included, so although hindi siya kasama sa module, integumentary system, so it forms the external covering, yung pinaka-skin. So ang pinaka-function niya, it protects us from many threats such as infection, desiccation or pagkatuyo, abrasion, mga gas, and radiation damage. Of course, kasama sa integumentary system, primarily our skin. Siyempre, nasa balat natin ang mga buhok or the hair, and of course, the nails. Ayan. So that's part of our integumentary system. Let's have a quick review. Pangalanan natin yung mga body systems na to. Let's try to zoom this again. Ayan. So identify nyo lang yung mga body system. Wala pa yung nag-comment. Ayan. So sa mga team replay na lang sana, may mga mag-comment. Ayan, siguro mga shy type ang ating mga viewers for this afternoon. Well, anyways, okay lang yan, no? So, pwede nyo palang balikan yung mga episodes natin for ETUlay. So, you can visit the DepEd Edtech Unit at saka sa YouTube, DepEd TV Officials para sa mga replays ng ETUlay sessions natin. And at the same time, if you want a copy of the PowerPoint presentations used by our tutors, in-upload po natin yan sa DepEd Commons. Okay? So, letter A, that is your muscular system. B is your skeletal system. C is your nervous system. Letter D is your endocrine system, yung mga glands, important glands natin. Letter E is, of course, ayan ang pusong tumitibok. The circulatory system. Ayan, letter F, ayan, summer na summer. Balat, integumentary system. Okay, sa baba, letter G represents your immune system. Letter H is your, ayan, yung lungs, of course. We have the respiratory system. For letter I, we have, of course, hashtag food is life, digestive system. Letter J is your urinary system, or in general, the excretory system. And finally, for reproduction, we have the male and the female reproductive systems. Ayan, so that's a means of review lang. Pero ito talaga yung nasa module. Sagutan natin ang module number 26, page 15. Nang mabilis lang. Skeletal system, that is your letter G. It's the framework of your body. Muscular system, that is the movement. It's the reaction of the contraction of the muscles, of course. Nervous system, letter E. Responsible for data and information processing. Number 4, respiratory system is letter A. Gas exchange. Nanin ko lang mga clue words para ma-maximize natin yung time. Number 5, digestive system is letter I. It allows the animal to acquire the necessary energy, the nutrients that we need. Endocrine system, yung mga hormones na pinoproduce, very important for the growth and development of the body, letter D. Urinary system, of course, is letter B. It removes the unwanted salt and water. Number 8 is your immune system, our immune system, letter C, the formation of antibodies para malabanan ang mga viruses and bacteria. And finally, number 9, circulatory system, responsible, ayan, for the circulation of the important nutrients and other substances. And letter H says, heart is the main organ for this system. And for our final activity, ayan, so sa module kasi may ganito. So, pinakita dyan yung tandem or yung paano nag-work together ang dalawang systems together. Say, for example, digestive and muscular. So, ang ginagawin natin sa presentation ni Sir Tony, isa-isayin lang natin yung mga itong A to J, tapos hahanapin natin yung pinaka-function from items 1 to 10. So, ganun tayo magsasagot. Okay? So, let's begin with letter A. These systems interact when food is pushed down the esophagus of the stomach. So, madali lang to. So, isipin nyo lang kung ano yung first na organ or first na system na related dun sa statement in the second organ or the second organ system. Let's say, for example, this one, food. So, digestive system na yun. Pushed down by the esophagus. Esophagus is a muscle. It's a muscle. It's a soft muscle. So, letter A is for number 1, digestive system and muscular system. Sorry. Sabi ko na. These systems interact when the kidneys filter materials out of the body. So we have kidneys, so urinary yun, di ba? And of course, magka-travel yung dumi or yung pinaka-waste sa circulatory system. So number 3 is letter B. Letter C, these systems interact to allow the inhalation and exhalation of gas. Anong dalawang system yon? Of course, our muscle and the respiratory system. Kasi nga yung diaphragm, di ba? Sa type of muscle. Letter D, these systems interact when glands of the brain control functions of the body. So glands, hormones, yan, di ba? So that's your endocrine. Ayun. So endocrine at kapartner niya ang nervous system for statement letter E. Ayun. Respiratory. Wait lang. Naguluhan ako. Letter D. Ayan. Endocrine system and nervous system. For letter E, takes oxygen for the delivery to cells and remove carbon dioxide brought from the cell. Okay. So that's the tandem between your respiratory system and our circulatory system. So bilisan lang natin ng kaunti. Ayan. Letter F. Hormone increase the heart rate of an animal when in danger. So pag na-stress tayo, di ba? Or when we are in dangerous situations, nagkakaroon tayo na tawag na adrenaline rush. So anong dalawang system yon? So hormones, ayan. So letter F, of course, is your endocrine system and the circulatory system. Letter G, oxygen is delivered from the lungs directly to your bloodstream. That is your respiratory system and circulatory system. So medyo na-advance yung sa presentation ko. Sorry Ulitin na lang Number 5 is G. Ayan. Laktawan lang natin yung H kasi may correction dyan. Letter I, protein and sugar travels from the intestines directly to the blood. So wag lang mako-confuse sa statement Lasa. So it does not directly travel yung sugar kasi kailangan pa siyang i-digest. So dadaan yan sa mga microvilli and then magka-travel or ita-transport yan via the circulatory system. Kaya nga, ang sagot for statement I is number 7, digestive system and circulatory system. And then for J, the hormone testosterone increase the bone density of a growing male. Of course, that's a partnership between endocrine system and our skeletal system. So yung letter H nilaktawan natin kasi bone marrow produces red blood cells. So natitira na lang kasi ay immune system at skeletal system. So hindi ko kasi matatanggap yung sagot. It should be skeletal system and circulatory system. Kasi red blood cell is not generally they're related sa immune response. No? So red blood cell, ang pinaka-function niyan ay pag-carry ng oxygen. Diba? Tapos tatransport yan sa iba't ibang cells ng katawan. So dapat dito kasi white blood cell para maging immune system. So since red blood cell at saka bone marrow, so nilagay ko na lang is skeletal system and circulatory system. Okay? That's it. Ayan. So for our final segment, so our session will not be complete without our hashtag be inspired and hashtag be blessed. So ang sabi ni former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, since we actually discussed about togetherness, having unity, di ba? Sa simula ng talk or sa discussion ni Sir Tony, in-highlight natin, no, sana magtuloy-tuloy yung unity, disiplina natin mga Pilipino together, di ba? So, ang sabi ni President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, the former president, the power of one is, if fearless and focused, is formidable. So, very powerful, di ba? May mga taong ganun. Alone, they are very powerful. But, sabi niya, the power of many working together is better. Okay, so mas masaya, mas nakaka-invite or nakaka-engage, di ba? Kapag if you are working with others, di ba? So, nade-develop yung sense of unity natin, sense of discipline, and sense of togetherness natin, mga Pilipinos, especially sa mga times na kailangan talagang magtulong-tulong tayo. So, I hope, aside from the academic or the scientific concepts that you have learned, ma-invite din natin, no, kayo mga senior high school learners, the future of the Philippines is in your hands. So sana ma-develop yung mga ganyang values. Wag na wag mawawala. Pagiging makatao, makajos, makakalikasan, at makabansa. Mga core values ng Department of Education. And with that, that ends our discussion for Quarter 4, Week number 5 of Senior High School Earth and Life Science. You can connect with me via email, via Facebook, via Wakelet, and my YouTube channel, Mr. Voice Educator PH. Subscribe na po kayo. Ayan, so thank you for joining me. So muli sa makakalikasan at makabansang afternoon sa ating lahat. So see you all next week. Thank you very much for joining me. Kahit tahimik ang ating comment section. Ayan, so Next sa ating session is Tutor Cat for Senior High School Media and Information Literacy. Once again, this is Tutor Tony saying goodbye, God bless, and stay safe, guys. Bye-bye!
Sigurado ako na marami ka na namang natutuhan sa ating ETUlay tutorial session ngayong araw. Tandaan, ito ay hindi lamang para sa ating mga mag-aaral, kundi pati rin sa ating mga minamahal na guro at mga magulang na kaagapay natin para maituloy ang pagkatuto sa kabila ng nararanasang pandemya. Patuloy ding sumubaybay sa DepEd TV para sa mga araling ginawang video episodes. Mapapanood ito mula Lunes hanggang Sabado, alas 7 ng umaga hanggang alas 7 ng gabi sa inyong mga telebisyon. Abangan bukas mula alauna ng tanghali ang iba pang aralin sa ating ETUlay free online tutorial session sa English. I-like and subscribe at manatiling nakasubaybay sa ating ETUlay tutorial session sa DepEd Edtech Unit FB page at Educational Technology Unit channel sa YouTube at sa DepEd Tayo at DepEd Philippines social media accounts. Paalam!